Of the Professional Fiduciaries Bureau Advisory Committee. I'm calling this meeting to order at 10:01 a.m. Pacific Time. This meeting is being held on Wednesday, March 10th, 2021 via WebEx teleconference and webcast with no physical public locations pursuant to Governor Newsom's Executive Order N-29-20 issued on March 17, 2020. I would like to ask our WebEx moderator to please explain the format for this meeting.
Thank you. This is the moderator. Before we get started, I would like to remind committee members and staff who are not speaking to please mute their microphones. If background noise is detected during the meeting as a result of unmuted microphones, a brief reminder will be provided or microphones will simply be muted as not to interrupt the meeting. There are members of the public in the attendee list, and meeting minutes are being taken. So committee members and staff, please identify yourselves before speaking. To facilitate the public comment, we are utilizing the WebEx question and answer or the Q&A feature. When the committee chair reaches a point in the agenda at which public comment is appropriate, public comment will be requested. At the committee's direction, I will turn on and announce the opening of the Q&A. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by clicking on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of their WebEx screen. These instructions will be shared on the screen each time for your reference. In the Ask field, typically in the lower right of the WebEx screen, members of the public who wish to make a public comment will type, "I would like to make a public comment," and send it to all panelists. Any other communication will not be responded to. Members of the public, it is not necessary to identify yourself in order to make a public comment. We will be calling on requests in the order that they are received. We will call on the member of the public, unmute their microphone, and they will be provided 2 minutes to make their comments and a 30-second time warning before their time is up. After the time is up, the microphone will be muted and we'll move on to the next member of the public who has a comment. Please note the Q&A feature is used only as a means for members of the public to represent that they would like to make a verbal comment. Once unmuted, the member of the public may verbally state their comment. If attendees utilize a profane name, they will not be called upon to prevent members of the public from being subjected to profane language. While you are free to express criticism for the sake of the members of the public participating on the call, please do not use profane language when making public comments to the committee. Thank you, and I hand it back to you, Jean.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to item number 2. At this time, I would like to ask Angela to please call roll to establish a quorum. Thank you, Angela.
Hello, sorry about that. I didn't unmute both sections. So I'm going to call roll. Chi Elder.
Present.
Bertha Sanchez-Hayden.
Present.
Wendy Hatch.
Present.
Denise Nellison.
Here.
James Moore.
Present.
Elizabeth Ichikawa.
Present.
Okay, with 6 members present, we have established a quorum.
Thank you, Angela. Moving on to item number 3, I would like to ask the committee members and Bureau staff to introduce themselves.
Hi, this is Rebecca May. I'm the Bureau Chief.
I am Angela Cuadra. I'm the Professional Fiduciary Program Analyst.
Fred Chanyu, DCA Legal.
Hi, this is Rebecca again. I don't know if the advisory committee members want to introduce themselves as well.
I'm sorry, Rebecca, we do or we do not?
If you'd like to, it's certainly not mandatory.
Wendy Hatch, professional fiduciary.
I'm Jim Moore, professional fiduciary.
Elizabeth Ichikawa, supervising court investigator.
Bertha Sanchez Hayden, public legal aid representative.
Denise Nellison, licensed clinical social worker.
I guess that leaves me, She Elder, public member. Do we have any other advisory committee members that have not introduced themselves? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 4. Please allow me to briefly address this agenda item. California law prohibits advisory committee members from discussing or taking action on any matter not on the agenda. However, this item offers an opportunity to the public to comment on items that are not listed on today's agenda. Please be aware that public comment during this agenda item should provide information to the advisory committee members and is not meant to be a discussion between the advisory committee and the public. Though this may seem at times like advisory committee members or bureau staff are not being responsive, following these guidelines is critical to ensuring the rules of the Open Meeting Act are followed. Before the committee asks for public comments, I ask individuals making comments to not discuss pending complaints, pending licensing applications, or pending disciplinary actions that may come before the Bureau's legal counsel. Such discussions are considered ex parte communications by potentially providing information to the Bureau's legal counsel outside of the administrative record in a case. The committee strongly asks that you also respect the privacy of others by not revealing the names, other personal information, and conditions of any individual involved in any case or complaint. The advisory committee can receive comments regarding the Bureau's processes in general, but it cannot receive comments on specific cases. If you want the committee to discuss a topic not on the agenda, you may request that item be considered for a future meeting agenda. However, a request does not obligate the Bureau to fulfill that request. If your comment is related to an item on today's agenda, please wait until we get to that agenda item. Comments at this time are only for items not on the agenda. To allow the committee sufficient time to conduct its full schedule of business, public comments will be limited to 2 minutes apiece. Please do not duplicate or repeat the comments of a previous speaker. I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments.
Thank you. This is the moderator. At the request of the committee, I've opened up the Q&A feature. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment, please click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. And I do have an individual identified as Richard Calhoun. I will unmute your microphone in just a moment. Just a friendly reminder, you do have 2 minutes. And I will be unmuting your microphone in just a moment. You have been unmuted.
Hello, this is Richard Calhoun with Cedar. The PFB has added a link on their website under Actions where we can look at cases that the Professional Fiduciaries Bureau has filed. However, there appears to be a problem with that. The problem is I can search by a last name and find the complaint, the hearing dates for that licensee. I cannot search under Professional Fiduciaries Bureau and find out what issues have been, what hearings are upcoming. And so there's no way for the public to know about all the hearings of your licensees. And I think that's an oversight and a problem with the software. So basically, if you go to your own website and search by last name of a licensee, you find out the upcoming hearings. But if I don't know the person has a hearing, there's no way for me to find out. So nice concept. I appreciate you implementing it, but there's a problem with it. Thank you.
Hi, this is Rebecca May, the Bureau Chief. I just wanted to chime in. Thank you so much, Mr. Calhoun, for your comment. I know that this has been kind of ongoing. So we provide a link on our website to other websites as resources for licensees and consumers. And one of those links is to the Office of Administrative Hearings to help individuals find out information about upcoming meetings, or I'm sorry, hearings. Unfortunately, the Bureau does not control the information that's disseminated on those websites. And if you need any information or any assistance with that website, you should probably contact the Office of Administrative Hearings.
This is the moderator. No further requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the comments. Moving on to item number 5 of the agenda. Rebecca, would you please read the Bureau's mission statement?
Yes, thank you. To protect consumers through licensing, education, and enforcement of the Professional Fiduciaries Act by promoting and upholding competency and ethical standards across the profession.
Thank you. Any comments from the committee members? Thank you. To allow the committee sufficient time to conduct its full schedule of business, public comments at the end of each agenda item will be limited to 2 minutes apiece. Are there any public comments on this item?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A at the request of the committee. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, actually, sorry. I just had one come in, and I will unmute the microphone in just a moment. And Selini, and I apologize if I mispronounced your name, I will unmute your microphone now. You have been unmuted.
Hi, this is Celine Balanoff. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. You have a really extensive description of duties of conservators or duties of fiduciaries in the regulations in the Professional Fiduciaries Code of Ethics, but there's no short, sweet definition of fiduciary duty as opposed to the duties of a fiduciary, and there's no short, sweet definition of breach of fiduciary duty to guide the many professional fiduciaries in making decisions about what to do or not do. And I think that's causing some problems in their behavior. So what would it take to get a definition of fiduciary duty as opposed to the duties, this big long description of the various things that fiduciaries do, but the actual fiduciary duty to put another person first and to put their interests first into the regulations and perhaps even into the mission statement?
There has been no further requests. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you, Rebecca. And thank you for the comments. Moving on to item number 6. Are there any suggested edits by the committee members to the December 2nd, 2020 meeting minutes? the members of the committee have any suggested edits? If you can please remember to unmute yourself. Okay, it looks like there are no suggested edits. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Wendy Hatch. I make a motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting in December.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
This
This
is
is,
Bertha Hayden. I second the motion.
I'm sorry. Ms. Hayden, can you repeat that? And then I thought I heard someone else as well.
Yes, this is Bertha Hayden. I second the motion.
Thank you. And there was another speaker?
this is Jim Moore. I was also going to second the motion.
Okay. Thank you. Any discussion from the committee members? Okay. Any public comment?
This is the moderator. At the request of the committee, I've opened up the Q&A feature. The instructions are on the screen. Click on the Q&A icon and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists if you would like to participate. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no comments, Angela, would you please do a vote by roll call?
Hi. Yes. Okay. So a yes vote on this will be to approve the minutes to be posted to the website as they are written. I will start with Chi Elder.
Yes.
Bertha Sanchez Hayden.
Yes.
Wendy Hatch.
Yes.
Denise Nellison.
Yes.
James Moore.
Yes.
Elizabeth Ichikawa.
Yes.
Okay, with 6 members voting yes and no one is opposed, the minutes will be posted to the website as they are written.
Thank you, Angela. Moving on to item number 7 of the agenda, I would like to invite the Department of Consumer Affairs executive staff to present their update.
Good morning, Chair Elder, committee members, and Bureau Chief May. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm Carrie Holmes, Deputy Director for Board and Bureau Relations at the Department of Consumer Affairs. Thank you for inviting me to provide a department update to the Professional Fiduciaries Bureau. COVID-19 has affected every aspect of our work. DCA offices remain open with preventative measures to safeguard the health and safety of our employees and visitors. DCA and its boards and bureaus are maximizing telework to help reduce COVID transmission risk for all employees. Public health measures such as distancing, face covering, and frequent hand washing are required for those employees who cannot telework. Thank you to Bureau Chief May and Bureau staff who have been working so hard to maintain excellent customer service and protect the public throughout these challenging times. DCA is pleased to announce that on January 12th, Governor Newsom appointed Monica Vargas to the role of Deputy Director of Communications at the Department of Consumer Affairs. Monica has been an information officer at the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services since 2015. She was also an information officer at DCA from 2013 to 2015. She joined us last month and hit the ground running. On February 2nd, Governor Newsom appointed Sarah Murillo as Deputy Director of Administrative Services at DCA. Ms. Murillo has gained a wide range of experience in her nearly 20 years of service to Californians in various state departments, including California Complete Census 2020. Ms. Morello comes to DCA with a skill set that makes her well suited to support all the entities within our department. Her appointment fills the final vacancy in DCA's executive office, and DCA is so pleased to welcome her. One of my top priorities in Board and Bureau relations is appointments, and I would like to provide a brief overview. Currently, the committee has one vacancy, a licensee member appointed by the governor. If any members know great candidates, or if any members of the public attending the meeting are interested in serving, please find the link titled Board Member Resources on DCA's homepage to apply for an appointment. I'm pleased to let you know that Board and Bureau Relations, in partnership with Solid Training, has developed a brand new board member orientation training. The first will be held via WebEx tomorrow, March 11th, and twice more in June and October. We are very excited about the new and improved training, which has been updated based on board and committee member feedback and requests. As a reminder, newly appointed and reappointed committee members are required to take this training within a year of appointment or reappointment. Finally, I'd like to let you know about two exciting initiatives launched by DCA Director Kirkmeyer for 2021 to enhance DCA services to all boards and bureaus. The first is an executive officer cabinet. This group of board and bureau executives will maintain regular communication, provide feedback and information to DCA, and assist with special projects that will impact all boards and bureaus. The second is the Enlighten Licensing Project. This work group is being formed to utilize licensing subject matter experts within the entire DCA. This group will help individual boards and bureaus streamline and make their licensing processes more effective and efficient by utilizing best practices, information technology, and cost-saving measures. These two initiatives are just kicking off, and we will keep you updated on their work and impacts. As always, Board and Bureau Relations is here to help, and if there's anything we can do to assist, please reach out. That concludes my presentation, and I will hand it back over to Chair Elder.
Thank you. Any comments from the committee members?
This is Denise Nellison. I would be interested in more information about those two programs. How can we get that? I mean, in writing or whatever.
Ms. Nellison, are you referencing the director's two new initiatives with the cabinet and the Enlighten Licensing Project?
Correct.
Okay, yes, so there will be updates as those move forward. They're just kicking off. So I don't believe I have anything I can provide in writing at this time, except for what I've said, but I could provide the Bureau Chief with the mission statements of the projects and what their plans are as those move forward.
That's excellent. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other comments from committee members? Do we have any comments from the public?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A feature at the request of the committee. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your comment, Ms. Nelson. Moving on to agenda item number 8, I would like to invite the Department of Consumer Affairs Budget Office to present the budget update.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Paul McDermott, and I am the budget analyst from the Department of Consumer Affairs. And I've had the pleasure of being the budget analyst for Fiduciaries for a little over 2.5 years. And this morning I want to discuss several things, which would be my analysis of the fund condition and my analysis of the expenditures. The first document we're looking at right here on the screen is going to be the expenditures for the year. And as you scroll down, you'll notice that we're very tight and very solid with our expenditures when it comes to each line item. we have the salaries and benefits up top, and then we have the operating expenses on the bottom of this sheet. And if you scroll through it, we're pretty steady with what I project for the year end as what we did last year. I have a projection of $349,000 in for the salaries and benefits, and I have a projection of $213,000 for the operating expenses, for a total of $562,000 and $861. That gives us a reversion of about $14,000. Typically, the bureau, reverts about $18,000 to $20,000, but we did have some reductions this year in our budgetary numbers. So I'm very confident where we stand now with the current picture, with the expenditures, that we're on track and we're within acceptable range of spending and reversion. So we have about a 2.45% reversion of our overall budget. Typically, we like to see anywhere from 3 to 6. We're a little bit below the 3, but again, with the budget cuts and knowing how the board spends the money with which they're charged, I'm very confident that this is a good number to be looking at this point in time. Are there any questions on the expenditure document?
Yes, this is Wendy Hatch, committee member. Under personal services, the projection for year end is a little bit over budget than what the budget states or that was projected. Do we have any particular reason? I see the salaries for permanent positions went up, as projected and budgeted.
Yeah, we typically will have, in any cases with either the personal services or the operating expenses, we'll have either positive or negative. And what's going on now with the budgets, we do have some in the personal services that are greater than budgeted. However, when we look down at the operating expenses, we are in the positive down there. And we do what's called bottom line budgeting, where we look at the very bottom number between personal services and operating expenses. And as long as that bottom number that we're looking at is in the positive, we're fine. So the salaries, what was budgeted and what the actual salaries are, aren't always typically in line with what's budgeted, but we know what the salaries are going to be. So in this case, I do know that I'm roughly about $15,000, $16,000 higher. That's expected. Benefits have gone up a little bit, and salaries have gone up a little bit. So I'm okay with that number because I can make up the difference with what's down in the operating expenses. I hope that answers the question.
Well, as a follow-up, I believe it was last meeting we were talking about hiring on a new investigator to assist. Is that some of the reason why maybe the salaries went up?
Rebecca, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, we have not made any hirings.
Okay.
This time, yeah.
Do we have any other questions from committee members? This is Cuadra. I have a question as well. So with the budget cut, how has that impacted how the Bureau staff is able to perform their functions and duties? Or if it has impacted, had any changes?
Rebecca, you want to answer that question?
Yeah, I can answer that. So, and Paul, you might have to help me fill in some of the details. So, staff were all furloughed. Is it 2 days a month?
Correct.
Okay, and that started in July, right? July 1st?
Correct.
So we do have furlough days that we're supposed to be using as staff. So it has, I mean, we're still continuing to probably work the same number of hours that we did before, but that's definitely, it does impact somewhat the functions of the Bureau, because we will use furlough time first before we use like vacation time when we send in our timesheets. But like I said, for the most part, I think we've mostly been working the same number of hours that we were before the furloughs were in place. I think that answers your question, I hope.
Yes, thank you, Rebecca.
Okay.
I have one additional question, if you don't mind. And I don't know if you would have the information. Is this budget cut expected to continue, or is this just a temporary cut for this year 2021?
Paul will probably know more, but I don't know if there's been a predicted end date. Usually furloughs do end at a certain point in time, but I haven't heard any indication that it's coming soon.
What I am aware of is, not speaking for the governor and how this will happen, but I'm aware that this will be readdressed again at the end of the fiscal year, but it has not been determined that it's just, it'll cut off at the end of this fiscal year. So it is to be readdressed and looked at going until next fiscal year.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments or questions from the committee? Any public comments?
This is the moderator. I've opened. Sorry, would someone like to speak? I've opened up the Q&A at the request of the committee. Members of the public, if you would like to participate in this agenda item, click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. No requests have been submitted. Would you like to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And if you could bring up the second document. Okay, the document we're looking at here, I really like. This is what's called the fund condition. And the way we read the fund condition is top to bottom and left to right. Top to bottom, we'll have the beginning balance of each year, your revenue, your expenditures, and your net dollars at the bottom. Left to right will be the fiscal years, which would be 19-20 previous year. We're in the current year of 2021, and then we're looking at budget year. What we're looking at here is I just want to let you know is we have a beginning balance and we have revenue streams. So the revenue streams are where we get all of our funds and all of our fees. And they come from delinquent fees, renewal fees, and everything like that. We're looking at a revenue stream of bringing in about $716,000, and you'll see that in the middle column under CY 2021, about halfway down. You'll see we're estimated to bring in $716,000. When we go down to the expenditure part, you'll see a line item that says $564,000, and we got that from the previous expenditures, the previous expenditure sheet that I showed you. So when I take the revenues that we bring in and I subtract out the expenditures, at the very bottom we have what is the ending balance. So I'm projecting at this end of this year to be $374,000, or 6.6 months in reserves. I think that's cut off a little bit there, which is really solid. And that's why I wasn't too concerned about the expenditures before, because when I look at this document here, I look at the health of the fund, the health of the program, and we're falling in the category of 6 to 12 months in reserves. Why that's important is something happens where the revenue streams dry up, or there is a situation with the state, and case in point could be the pandemic year. We know that we have 6.6 months in reserves to be able to function as a board or a bureau. 6 to 12 months is, again, a solid fund. So we're right in where we need to be as far as being solid with our fund. The the other thing I want to show you is at the bottom of the current year, I'm projecting $374,000. This is a fluid document, so I do update this every month on what I project every month based on the revenues that are being reported in. But that $374, if that holds, if you look up to the top right of the far right column, I carry that forward, and that's the beginning balance that we start with next year. So the middle column will change based on revenues and based on expenditures, and that bottom dollar then carries forward to next year's beginning balance. I just want to show how this works so that you understand that we don't just come up with a budget, we work from where we left off the previous year. And then based on what I have coming in for this year, I can project that we're increasing our fund to 7.4 months in reserves, which again is well within the 6 to 12 months reserve bank. And for that reason, I'm very comfortable with where the fund condition is. I'm very comfortable where the expenditures are, and I'm confident that with Chief May's direction that this will continue forward, and we will have a positive report at the end of the year. Are there any questions with the fund condition?
This is Denise Nellison. I was just curious about the surplus money investments. What is that?
So this is, in essence, the interest that is gained on the balance that is actually in the fund, and it's held within the control agency. So it's just a report of the interest money that from the previous fund balance.
Do we have any other comments from committee members? If we have no further comments from committee members, do we have any comments from public members?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A feature at the request of the committee. Members of the public, the instructions are on the screen. You can click on the Q&A icon, type "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. And we do have a request by James Counts. James, I will unmute your microphone in just a moment. Just a friendly reminder, you have 2 minutes. You have been unmuted.
Thank you. In looking at the months of reserve, in the past, I forget the number, but the state was looking for bureaus and agencies and so forth to have a certain number of months ideally in reserve. Could you update us as far as what the current request for the bureaus to have? And then how is it possible for the Bureau to potentially reduce the annual renewal fees and other fees that are being charged so that this reserve balance does not get too large? Because the state in the past has had a policy sometimes of borrowing money from the excess reserves and taking years to pay it back. Thank you.
That's a great question. Thank you for it. Now, I'll address the months in reserves. So again, the solid months in reserve are anywhere from 6 to 12 months. And in this case, we're at 6.6 for current year and projected 7.4 for the budget year. So we're right in the proper zone of where we'd want to be for the board. As to the question on the loans to the general fund, the fiduciary board, when they look at who can sustain a fund or a loan to the general fund, they look at each board and bureau and look at their revenues and look at their expenditures. And at this point, fiduciary is not in the position to be generous enough to loan to the general fund. So, and I don't foresee that happening anytime in the near future, but I'm not the one going through the calculations. So I don't foresee fiduciary actually loaning anything to the fund, the general fund. And as to the renewal fees, I would have to defer that to Chief May on what the board or the bureau would want to do with the fees.
I think at the moment the fees are going to stay where they're at. We really have a pretty small reversion there each year. So the closer we are on those two numbers, the less likely that that'll change anytime soon.
This is the moderator. No further requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 9, I would like to invite the Department of Consumer Affairs Legislative Office to present the budget update.
Good morning. My name is Bianca Angulo. I am a legislative analyst from the Legislative Division at DCA. I will be providing the legislative update this morning. First, I'm going to review a few dates in the legislative calendar. February 19th was the last day for bills to be introduced. On March 25th, the legislative spring recess will begin, and the legislature will reconvene on April 5th. The bill list is current as of February 16th. Since that was before the bill introduction deadline, this is not an exhaustive list of the bills we are currently tracking. It is just current as of February 16th. I'm going to run through these right here. So AB 260 by Assemblymember Stone. This bill would require the court to have a good cause to waive a local child welfare services agency investigation and would prohibit the guardianship proceedings from being completed until the investigation is completed and a report is provided to the juvenile court. This bill would also require the state-funded Kinship Guardianship Assistant Payment Program aid to be provided on behalf of any child under 18 years of age and to any eligible youth under 21 years of age. This bill is currently in the Assembly Judiciary Committee, and a hearing date has been set for March 23rd. AB 465 by Assemblymember Nazarian. This bill, beginning January 1st, 2023, would require pre-licensing education courses for professional fiduciaries to include at least 1 hour of instruction in cultural competency. The bill would also require a licensee to complete at least 1 hour of instruction every 3 years as a condition of license renewal or restoration. This bill is currently in the Assembly Business and Professions Committee. No hearing date has been set yet. AB 574 by Assemblymember Chen. This bill would establish an additional procedure for the appointment of a guardian ad litem for a person who lacks the capacity to make rational, informed decisions regarding medical care, mental health care, safety, hygiene, shelter, food, or clothing. This bill is currently in the Assembly Health Committee. No hearing has been set. AB 596 by Assemblymember Nguyen. This bill would require an attorney who determines the conservatee or proposed conservatee is unable to communicate, and they must report this inability to the court. The court will then make a determination regarding this allegation based on evidence in a procedure as determined by the court. This bill is currently in the Assembly Judiciary Committee, and no hearing has been set yet. And those are all the bills I was tracking as of February 16th.
Thank you. Any comment from the committee members?
Yes, this is Wendy Hatch. Regarding AB 596, what is the difference between this bill and the pre-existing CAC when the courts appoint an attorney? It seems like it's just kind of duplicating it because the CAC has to advocate for the conservatee. Can you tell me why this bill's even being brought forward if we already have provisions to appoint an attorney for the proposed conservatee?
I am not sure, but I can reach out to Assemblymember Nguyen's office. With COVID, everyone's working remote, and it's been really difficult to get a hold of staff to answer these kinds of questions. I've been reaching out for weeks, so I will continue to reach out to Assemblymember Nguyen. and see what the reasoning is for the bill, if it's duplicative, if they have a different idea in mind. And I can present that at the next committee hearing or meeting, sorry.
It's almost the same as that AB 574, but we have rules and regulations for the guardian ad litem to be appointed to a proposed conservatee. So I just think these two bills are kind of in duplication of what's already existing as legislation.
I will reach out to both offices and get an update. It may be that they have amendments in mind that they just haven't been introduced yet.
Okay.
So I'll have an update at the next meeting.
Okay, because the guardian ad litem is supposed to be doing what after they evaluate to protect the person. And 596, the CAC is to advocate for the conservatee, even though it might not be in their best interest. So I just don't know why there's duplicate, but thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other comments or questions from committee members? Thank you. Do we have any comments from public members?
This is the moderator. I'm opening the Q&A feature. Members of the public, the instructions are on your screen. Click on the Q&A icon, submit. I would like to make a comment to all the panelists. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the comments. Moving on to agenda item number 10. Rebecca, would you please present the Bureau updates?
Good morning. Thank you so much. So the Bureau's most recent statistics can be found in the meeting materials if you'd like to follow along with me. Sorry, shuffling papers and a laptop. So for our complaint statistics, this is a snapshot in time from July 1st, 2020 through January 31st of 2021. In that time, we initiated one case with the Attorney General's office. We issued 5 citations. We received 71 complaints. We closed 36 complaints. And our average days to close during that time frame were 261 days. And as of the 31st of January, we had 114 complaints pending. Moving on to licensing statistics, we issued 52 new licenses between July 1st, 2020 and January 31st, 2021. We received 58 new applications. And then on January 31st of 2021, we had 785 active licensees on that day. And we had 1,218 total licenses since we started issuing licenses in 2008. So moving on to the business modernization plan, I'm pleased to announce that the Bureau is nearing the development stage of its business modernization plan. So what does that mean, Rebecca? Well, the Bureau has been working in close partnership with the Department of Consumer Affairs to enhance its online presence for applicants and licensees. And together we are determining a plan that has the most benefit to the Bureau's applicants and licensees accordingly. We anticipate the ability to start accepting renewal payments in late 2021. And as this project continues to advance, I'll communicate any new updates with you. So for outreach events, I Unfortunately, I've got nothing to report at this time. If you know of a socially distant outreach event that the Bureau should know about, please contact the Bureau. For the newsletter, so our last newsletter was posted to the Bureau's website and distributed to our interested parties list in December. It was renamed the PFB Bulletin, and I'm really pleased with the look of it and the content within it. The Bureau is now working on the next newsletter, which will likely go out this spring. When it's ready, the Bureau will send a notice to the interested parties list. In the meantime, if you have any suggestions for content you'd like to see in the newsletter, please contact the Bureau. And finally, our website updates. So we're constantly making improvements to the website. It's usually small tweaks here and there to improve clarity and to convey important updates and information, but sometimes we make more substantive changes. Last month, the Bureau updated the complaint information page to better convey the complaint process, including how to file a complaint and what information a complaint should include. If there are improvements to the website or information that you think would be helpful to our consumers or licensees, please email the Bureau with your suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the committee members?
Hi, it's Wendy Hatch again. Rebecca, on the licensing statistics, of those 52 new licenses, how many of those were included in the 58 new applications? Do you have any idea, or?
I don't know. Sometimes it's not, it doesn't, I don't know. This might be a better question for Angie if she's available. I don't think that it's apples to apples.
Okay.
Because I think that the licensees, they may have been, pending in the queue before July 1st, but they just happen to be licensed during this time frame. So they, applicants have a year to complete the application process and to take the exam and to pass it. So it's just, it doesn't quite add up.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
One more question.
Yes, that's correct. They can overlap year to year. So there's not a way to say how many of those specific ones applied July 1st and were already licensed this year. We don't track that.
Okay. And then on the business modernization plan, you said something about you're going to be enhancing the renewal process?
Yes, we are, and it's a work in progress right now. We've been working with the department for a couple of years now to just enhance our online presence. And one of the items that we're focusing our efforts on is to allow licensees to renew online, to submit a payment online. So we're hopeful that that will occur by the end of the year, but we're still obviously working out those details.
Okay.
But that's the hope.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other comments from committee members? This is Cuadra. I have a question regarding the outreach. So to assist in this effort, what type of online or virtual events would be helpful to bring forward to you as a potential activity to be able to provide outreach virtually?
The types of events that we typically attend are senior fairs or senior fraud fairs. I would imagine that a lot of them have slowed down since the pandemic has started. But if you hear things that are available, that would be fabulous to find out about. We do have networks and people reach out to us, but obviously with the pandemic, things have slowed down. I'm really hopeful that now that people are being vaccinated and perhaps there's a light at the end of the tunnel, it won't always be like this.
Thank you. I'm sorry, this is Childer. And so if there are potential events that are virtual, how can people submit recommendations to the Bureau?
Email is always great. We can be emailed at fiduciary@dca.ca.gov.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no other comments from committee members, can we please open this up for comments from public members?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A feature. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, the instructions are on your screen. Just click on the Q&A icon, type "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. I do have an individual identified as Richard Calhoun. I will unmute your microphone in just a moment. Just a friendly reminder, you do have 2 minutes, and we'll provide you a 30-second warning. You have been unmuted.
Richard Calhoun with Cedar, 2 comments. One on the website. It sure would be nice if the dollar asset management went over $99 million. For my public records request, one of your fiduciary licensees is reporting managing $1 billion, and there's no way to know if it's 100 million, 1,000, or 1 billion, and that's just bizarre. So the other aspect on that would be it'd be nice to be able to search so you can find those that have large dollar assets being managed. More significantly, back to the complaints, it sure would be nice to have a breakdown of the complaints from the public and where they go. Do they make it to desk review? Do they get turned over to the investigative branch? How many of those are getting cited? There's just the total, and we have no concept. From my digging, it appears that essentially every consumer complaint is dismissed regardless of the merit of the case. You know, I went through and one of your licensees was cited for something called bulk billing. I turned in 2 documented cases of bulk billing that you cited for, and because it came from the public, it was dismissed. And I think that would be real educational to understand that concept in statistical numbers.
This is the moderator. No further requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 11. Rebecca, would you please present the status of the Bureau's proposed rulemakings?
Thank you. So for file item, agenda item number 11, these 2 proposed regulations, the inactive retired license type and the client notification regulation, are in the pre-review process, meaning they haven't yet been filed with the Office of Administrative Law. I'm really hopeful now that the Bureau is finished with the rulemaking in the next agenda item that these 2 will start to move faster. I promise as soon as anything changes, I will update the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from committee members? If there are no comments from the committee members, can we please open this up for comment from public members?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A feature. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, the instructions are on your screen. Just click on the Q&A icon and type "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 12. Rebecca, would you please present the update on the Bureau's approved rulemakings?
Thank you so much. So I'm very pleased to announce that one of our regulations has made it past the finish line. The Office of Administrative Law approved our regulation defining the criteria for the denial of a license when an applicant has been convicted of a crime. The final approved language is included in the meeting materials, but the final statement of reasons, which includes economic impact and fiscal impact, can be found on the Bureau's website. I am especially grateful to Angela Cuadra from the Bureau and Alex Millington, our regulatory counsel from the department, for all of their very hard work in making this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Any comment from the committee members? This is Chi Elder. I would like to say congratulations to Chief May and the Bureau team. This is a significant accomplishment, and I know that the team, all of you put a lot of work into this, and thank you for doing this. And thank you for ensuring that we continue to align with our mission. If we have no other comments from the committee members, can we please open it up for public comment?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A feature. Members of the public, the instructions are on your screen. Click on the Q&A and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Moving on to agenda item number 13. Angela, what items have you recorded from our meeting today for consideration to be included on future agendas?
Hello. Okay, so I have only recorded actually one item that was specific to be included to the to an agenda item, and that was for Bianca from our legislative office to reach out to the assembly member to determine what the difference is between AB 596 and the already existing laws for duplication. It seems duplicative. Is there anything that I missed or anything additional?
Are there any other items the committee members would like to add? If there are no other items from the committee members, is there any public comment?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A. Members of the public, the instructions are on the screen. Click on the Q&A icon and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panel. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A? Actually, sorry, the one request have been submitted. Richard, I will unmute your microphone in just a moment. You have been unmuted.
Richard Calhoun with Cedar. This shows the great chasm between reality and the PFB. The public, myself, as well as Celine, have made comments. The Bureau can't talk about it now. You can't talk about it if it's not agendized. We raised issues. They're not being future agendized. So we just are talking to a wall with no response. These items that we're bringing up are issues that need to be addressed. They need to be addressed by the committee in open public comment or hearing so they can be commented on. This concept of we raise questions, it goes into a black box and nothing else happens is why there's such a problem with the PFB. End of comment.
No further requests and bits submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Angela. If this is Shielder, if we can, Chief May, if you can please let us know how to submit any questions for future agenda items. If you can repeat that, please.
Yeah, everyone is welcome to request agenda items, and the Bureau will consider whether to add them to a future meeting agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 14. The following meeting dates have been selected and scheduled for 2021. If you have a conflict with any of the proposed dates that you see on the screen, if you're unable to see the screen, the dates are Wednesday, June 16, 2021, Wednesday, September 15, 2021, and Wednesday, December 8, 2021. If you have a conflict with any of the proposed dates, please contact Angela Cuadra.
Hi, this is Rebecca again. I apologize heartily, but I have a conflict on June 16th. So I would like to suggest that we can move the meeting to just 1 week later to Wednesday, June 23rd instead. The Bureau has confirmed that this date is available for both WebEx and webcasting. I'm wondering if anybody has any conflicts with that new date. And I apologize, and I thank everyone for accommodating me.
Do we have any comments from committee members? This is Shielder. So Chief May is asking to move, requesting June 16th date moved to June 23rd, I believe.
Yes.
Due to a conflict, and the Bureau has already assessed, and it appears that that is clear for the Bureau staff. Any conflict with committee members on that rescheduled date? Okay, thank you. Any public comment?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A. Members of the public, you can participate by clicking the Q&A icon and typing "I would like to make a comment" and sending it to all panelists. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela. Okay, if there are no further agenda items, the meeting is adjourned at 11:12 a.m. Pacific time.